Hello, Clever Crew. The past 3 episodes have been dedicated to our DIY scene. Take a look and catch up on the 3-episode bathroom makeover series on my channel here. Now, this week's episode is a little different. I'm mixing it up this week with kind of a real-life chat. My name is Tasha, and I started this channel for 3 main goals. Showcase my enjoyment for do-it-yourself projects, and then focus on real-life chats just to bring you up to speed with my life, and then some fun crafting projects that will give you great tips on how to do things yourself, or even set up a group activity and have others join in the fun. So, our real-life chat today. Again, my name's Tasha, and I have the courage to be clever. I hope you get a chance to have the courage as well. Today is the day. Just do something out of your comfort zone. Today, I want to bring you up to speed on what brings me here today. I'm a caregiver at heart, so let's take a trip and bring you up to speed. To start, we actually need to go back in time to 2016. I started the year with my sister and I taking my parents out to dinner to kind of talk over and broach the subject of my mom's memory issues. Yes, the start of the sandwich generation. Not only do I have 2 amazing boys, at the time they were in middle school and high school, but I started on this aging parent situation. So after a somewhat awkward discussion and some time for my mom to process, she decided to get on the list for a neuropsych consultation, and it took about 6 months to get that appointment. Then the spring changed up a bit more because my dad, the pillar of health in our family, ended up in the hospital. After working through some tests, he was diagnosed in May with stage 4 kidney cancer. Yes, that was the loop that was quite unexpected here. He started chemo sessions up in Grand Rapids, downtown at the Lemon Holton Cancer Pavilion. A couple of things to note, the cancer training has a reminder that I keep in my memory to this day. My dad's training talked about how you need to conserve your energy for what is most important. And I take that with me a lot. It helps guide me in a lot of decisions that I make. My dad's first chemo treatment was memorable. My dad was a gregarious guy, full of life kind of a person. He always had some kind of connection with most anyone he met. So as I was learning how to be a caregiver for a cancer patient and my dad, I got to spend a lot of quality time with him. It was sort of that double-edged sword. Sad to see him go through this, but an amazing time to spend and talk with him. He told amazing stories. His first chemo cycle was going, and everyone was quiet in the areas around us. Some had visitors, some did not. But this day, there was a volunteer coming through from the American Cancer Society, and he was a character. He and my dad got to start talking. The gentleman had recently lost his wife to cancer, so it was nice for him to spend time together with my dad. They began talking, and this is where the connections are made. They started talking jazz music, and long story short, he lived in New York City and spent time in jazz clubs. My dad also had many connections to jazz music and seeing many musicians play live. It was one of the most interesting conversations I had listened to in my life. They knew places and events and just had so much fun talking music. Sometimes the best distractions make chemo time pass, and this was the best. My dad was diagnosed in May with cancer and passed away in August of 2016. It was sad, fun, and bittersweet. I learned so much about my dad and would not trade that time for the world. It was spent doing chemo or supporting it at home. And even though it was a hard time, you just learn so much in the process. I just really take away mostly positive memories here. In the meantime, my mom went through her evaluation. It was a 4-hour appointment. She had time with a pharmacist to go over her medications, time with a social worker to understand her environment. The biggest notice was that my dad was covering up for her for a long while. She met with a neurologist to go over her physical reaction and a standard MOCA test, which is an evaluation for cognitive issues, and then time with a neuropsychologist. The session was fascinating, and then after the team met together to review the results, and then we came back a couple weeks later to review. My mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in July of 2016, at the same time my dad was sick. We call this a double whammy. At this time, I started learning how to work full-time, take care of 2 boys, deal with aging parents' needs. We also, as a family, coined the term, what are we adding to the list this week? Really, at the time, it was crazy to go through, but so many other things happened, and there was just nothing you could do about it, other than ride the wave of the many issues and things that pop up in life. So, my father passed away, and my mom knew she could not live on her own. She decided to move to Story Point in Rockford from her home in Hastings and live closer to me. One tip to give for those dealing with aging parents and those with possible cognitive issues: deciding earlier and talking earlier and having these discussions with a parent. And obviously for my mom, she was able to come to that decision on her own. So the earlier is better. It's a huge event. My mom was able to move into enhanced living at Story Point. She learned new routines, and this was able to better help support herself in her changing environment as well. Again, even though this was a sad time and so much stress, I believe it was such a great experience. For myself, my kids learned about grandparents and how to handle things with mom not being around. I think it's a good skill to learn. Kids are resilient, and they learn along the way as well. I was able to join a support group and deal with family members with dementia issues, those with spouses, aging parents, or just needing to talk through things that we could relate to. Supporting a family member with cognitive issues is a lonely road, so meeting these folks was a great and tolerable event. We could talk and share life and learn from each other. Plus, I made a great friend with Urla here as well. Fast forward to my mom. I took care of her for 5 years, and she passed away during COVID. We could not visit her regularly. We could see her out the window of her building. And in December of 2020, she took a turn for the worse and lost her battle with Alzheimer's in 2020. Of course, during this time, you're trying to make things okay for your kids. When your son asks you if you're going to die, Mom, right? You realize that kids have those fears and need to address them. You do your best as a parent, and as a mom, you have mom guilt and so much related to decisions that need to be made. For me, I tried to rationalize this and make the best of it. Stress, changing conditions, and learning to do things on the fly. At this time, my youngest son had a few things going on. In middle school, right, he lost his grandpa, and then the next year he lost his other grandpa, aka his fishing buddy, again to cancer. Then he lost an aunt, and a couple of years later his grandma. But at the same time, he started encountering his own medical issues. Again, you don't wish this on anyone, but when your kid hurts, you hurt. My son had a pectus carinatum, which is where your sternum protrudes out a bit. The typical treatment is pushing it back in. Yes, that's a for real thing. But for my son, he had pain associated with this, and we started the path on how to deal with chronic pain. He's a high school kid and was so full of life and dealing with pain, you just wouldn't even know it when you looked at him. He always had a smile and a dry sense of humor and so helpful. But at home, it was a little different story to work through and understand how to deal with this pain. He went to a pain clinic and did different methods, and then we found the Mary Free Bed Pain Center. He got enrolled in the program and worked through the pain. The best support he received, besides physical therapy and occupational therapy, was making a connection with his psychologist. He learned how to manage pain. He learned how to break that chronic pain cycle. And it was amazing to see. He is amazing and a resilient kid. He graduated from the program in 2022 and was pain-free for 6 weeks. And then he mentioned enlarged lymph node on the side of his neck. And the first thing, you don't think anything of it, right? You dismiss it. Oh, you're just sick, you have a cold. And then he goes to primary care and they say, oh, it's a sinus infection, just take some antibiotics. And then that does not go away. And then you, as a parent, just have a nagging feeling that something is not quite right. He gets an ultrasound and you get the results as you are leaving the appointment. And then a fast track to a biopsy and a diagnosis of stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma. And it is his senior year in high school. We did not see that coming. But you go to U of M Mott at Ann Arbor, and he gets amazing treatment and the most amazing support from family, friends, and caregivers in his band family. He was able to spend his season going to school, going to marching band, and going through chemo. He even was able to go to the Tournament of Roses parade in January of 2023. And he rang the bell to be cancer-free in January 12th. He is now 2 years cancer-free and in college. And again, as I say this, it all seems a bit much, and it is. It's sometimes unbelievable that a family can go through all of this, but you make it work. I dove into caregiving mode and took care of my family and managed a stressful situation. I did not take great care of myself and have been working through my own set of medical issues, and I'd like to say that I'm on the straight and narrow path with improved health here as well. Okay, enough with the heavy. I would say that things like this help me most in life. Besides an amazing support network, DIY projects and crafts, that's my thing. So I'm bringing it back around again to our conversation here on this channel. Teaching myself acrylic painting during COVID, learning to crochet, making greeting cards, and an assortment of other projects to take your mind off of things is a cool thing to learn. And over time, I've had the ability to share what I've learned. I've hosted paint nights with friends, doing Christmas crafts, and even starting a monthly craft group, meeting monthly with friends. The reason I bring this up is that life throws you curveballs. Life is tough, but it is all in how you approach it. Being positive, having faith, and courage, those are important to have. So let me know in the comments here today what challenges you may have encountered or faced in your life. Or do you have ideas on DIY tips or crafts that you want to learn about or want to share? Let me know. I'm happy to share things with you and work to assist together, right? It's a community to kind of get us through life here. But in next week's episode, episode 5, I'll be working on crafts. We'll be kind of working through DIY, our greeting cards, and some fun crafts there. So thanks again for listening today. I would appreciate a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell for the courage to be clever. Thank you for your time today.